All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
This one is really interesting. I think we got a lot of good feedback from you guys on this one.
hmm
Granulator Machine Operators.
Yeah.
You sent in some resources, and I have to admit, before we even got into it, I just had no idea what this was.
Yeah, it's a little niche.
It is a little niche, but it's important, and that's why we do these deep dives, right? So, we're going to jump right into this Granulator Machine Operators, and I think the best place to start is what they actually do.
Right. So they work with these machines, obviously called granulators, and basically they take these powdered ingredients and help it along in the process of becoming like solid medication in tablet form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm picturing those, giant metal vats you see in movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what we're talking about?
It can be. It can be. It really depends on the scale of the operation and the specific type of machinery. But yeah, you can think big vats, lots of moving parts, and a whole lot of precision involved.
Okay. So there's definitely I'm assuming some technical skill involved here.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that really stood out to me in the resources you shared was this emphasis on GMP good manufacturing practices.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, GMP, what is that?
Right. Sounds kind of vague, but it's actually incredibly important in pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Okay.
I mean, you're dealing with people's health, right? So even the tiniest mistake can have huge consequences.
Yeah, for sure.
So GMP is all about making sure every single step from those raw ingredients to that final pill someone takes meets these incredibly high standards. It's about safety, it's about quality, and it's something that a granulator machine operator needs to be all over.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we're talking about a very meticulous job then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Attention to detail is key.
Okay. What is it actually like to do this job every day?
Well, imagine a typical manufacturing facility, but with this extra layer of meticulousness.
Okay.
You've got your production lines, you've got your laboratories, and you even have these super clean rooms to prevent any contamination.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it's all very high-tech, very precise, just like in the movies almost.
That's pretty cool. All right, so we've got this setting in my mind. What are the actual tasks? You walk in the door, what are you doing?
Well, a lot of it, obviously, revolves around operating that granulator machine. But it's not just pushing buttons. You need to understand how that specific machine works, how to troubleshoot any issues that come up, and of course, how to operate it while sticking to those strict GMP guidelines.
Right, of course. So it sounds like a good granulator machine operator needs to have a balance of technical know-how and also that meticulous attention to detail.
Absolutely.
What happens once you've mastered the machine, though? Is that it? Or are there other opportunities to grow within this field?
That's a great question. And one of the sources actually profiled this junior granulator machine operator named John.
Okay.
And after mastering his assigned machine, he was able to move on to more complex tasks pretty quickly.
Oh, cool. What kind of tasks?
Well, for one, he was soon independently troubleshooting issues,
Oh,
identifying potential problems before they even became real problems,
yeah.
and even started training new operators on the machine.
So he moved up to a leadership role.
Exactly. And that just goes to show that there's room for growth within this role.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not just about operating the same machine day in and day out. There's definitely a career path there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So John's story shows that there's definitely room to grow within this role. It's not just about operating the same machine every single day.
Yeah, and his experience actually highlights something that's really crucial here. You know, a good granulator machine operator isn't just, like you said, pushing buttons.
Right.
They're problem solvers.
Yeah.
They're detail-oriented, and they're really passionate about quality control.
You mentioned quality control there. What does that actually mean in this context? What are some of those must-have skills for this job?
So you've got your technical skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand how that machinery works, how to calibrate it, how to troubleshoot if something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this whole other layer of expertise on top of that, like knowing GMP inside and out, for example.
Okay, I gotta admit, even after you explained it, GMP is still a little bit mysterious to me.
Okay, yeah,
Can you give me a concrete example of what that looks like in action?
absolutely. So let's say you're working with a high-speed granulator.
Okay.
This is a specific type of machine often used in large-scale pharmaceutical production.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the key GMP requirements is documenting every single step of that process. The batch number, the weight of each ingredient, the temperature, the pressure, you name it. It gets recorded. It might seem tedious.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But imagine if a batch of medication had to be recalled because of like a contamination issue or something.
Oh, wow, yeah. Then those records would be really important.
Exactly. By meticulously documenting every single step, you're not just following rules.
Yeah.
You're contributing to the safety and well-being of everyone who might end up taking that medication.
Yeah, that's a good point. It makes it feel a little more important than just paperwork, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the day-to-day, the skills, the importance of GMP.
Yeah.
But what about the bigger picture? Where can this career path actually lead?
So as we saw with John's example, you can move up within that production line itself,
Uh-huh.
becoming like a senior operator or even a team lead.
Hmm.
But the skills you pick up in this role can also open doors to other departments within pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Oh, really? Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, so for one, you can move into quality assurance,
Oh,
making sure that all products meet those really strict GMP guidelines.
right.
Or you could specialize in formulation, which is developing and testing new drug formulas.
Formulation, that sounds really interesting.
It is. It's where the science really comes in.
Yeah.
You're working with chemists, researchers to develop new medications and improve existing ones.
Wow.
And then there's packaging, which is all about making sure those medications are packaged safely and efficiently.
Okay.
Each of these areas requires that meticulous attention to detail, a deep understanding of GMP, and of course that passion for quality that we keep talking about.
It's amazing to me how many different paths like stem from this one starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is the most important thing for somebody to know if they're considering a career as a granulator machine operator?
I'd say if you're someone who enjoys working with their hands, who thrives in a structured environment, and who gets a real sense of satisfaction knowing that their work has a direct impact on people's lives,
Hmm.
this could be it. This could be the perfect fit for you.
Yeah, that's really cool how like you can really see the impact of this job.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, we talk about the future of any job these days. We got to address the elephant in the room.
Right.
Automation.
Yeah.
Are robots going to be mixing those powders and pressing those pills anytime soon?
Well, it's a valid question.
Yeah.
And it's true. The pharmaceutical industry is seeing more and more automation these days. You got your robotics, your AI. It's definitely changing things.
So what does that mean for someone considering this as like a career path? Is it just like, oh, well, it's all going to be robots soon anyway?
Not necessarily, no.
Hmm.
I think it's more about a shift in skills rather than like a complete robotic takeover.
Okay.
So think of it this way. Instead of like directly operating the machine, a granulator machine operator might be supervising a team of robots,
Okay.
making sure that they're calibrated correctly, the ingredients are loaded properly, kind of like a robotic foreman.
Oh, okay. So it's not that the robots are replacing the jobs. They're just, the jobs are changing a little bit.
Exactly, yeah.
So what kind of skills are going to be important for somebody who wants to like thrive in this more automated future?
Well, adaptability is going to be huge, right? Knowing the ins and outs of the machinery will always be important.
Right.
But understanding how those automation processes work, being able to analyze the data that those machines are generating, maybe even some basic coding skills, those are going to be incredibly valuable.
It's like the difference between like driving a car and understanding how to maintain it.
Yeah, exactly.
You might not need to be a mechanic, but knowing like the basics can really come in handy.
Exactly. And remember, even with all this fancy new technology, that human element, that critical thinking, the problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
those are always going to be important. Who's going to troubleshoot those robots when something goes wrong?
Right.
Who's going to make sure those automated systems are actually following all those strict GMP guidelines?
That's a good point. So it sounds like this field has a really like unique combination of hands-on work, but also these intellectual challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a career path with a lot of potential, and it's only going to become more important as technology keeps advancing and the demand for pharmaceuticals, well, that's not going away anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for anybody out there listening who's like intrigued by this world of precision and quality control, and maybe even a little bit of like futuristic tech, where should they go to learn more?
Well, the resources you sent over were a fantastic place to start, I got to say.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher, especially,
Yeah.
seems like a really great tool for anyone who's, exploring this career path. They have interview prep resources. They have skills assessments. It's like having a career coach right there in your pocket.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Because really, at the end of the day, knowledge is power, right? The more you know, the more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this, like, always changing job market.
Couldn't agree more. So if you're the type of person who, you know, likes to know how things work, who likes to
Yeah.
be really detail-oriented,
Yeah.
and who wants a job that really actually makes a difference, maybe, just maybe,
Mm-hmm.
a career as a granulator machine operator
Right.
or a robotic foreman, as we won't be calling them soon.
I like that.
Yeah.
Robotic foreman, that's a good one.
It has a nice ring to it.
It does, it does. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of pharmaceutical manufacturing. Hopefully you at home found it insightful, intriguing, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. The world is full of these fascinating careers that you might not even know exist, so stay curious, keep exploring. Who knows what amazing paths you might uncover. And we'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.